There's a quiet difference in how people who grew up in the 1970s think. Not louder, not faster, just deeper. And it's why today's world often feels wrong to you, even when everything seems fine on the surface. That unease isn't a flaw. It's a trace of a childhood built in a brief, unusual window of human history that no longer exists, a time when kids were trusted to navigate life on their own. Boredom, mistakes, freedom, these were the tools that quietly shaped your mind. While today's children are tracked, scheduled, and constantly entertained, you wandered, explored, got lost, and found your own solutions. And when that environment disappeared, something subtle but powerful disappeared with it. That space to figure things out on your own reshaped your brain in ways modern children rarely experience. Modern psychology has a name for it: self-directed development. You weren't constantly guided. You weren't endlessly entertained. You weren't emotionally managed. Your brain had to do one thing it rarely does today: figure things out on its own. And that simple, unglamorous requirement laid the foundation for problem-solving, independence, and resilience that lasts a lifetime. Today, we assume better parenting means more involvement, more supervision, more planning, more protection. But the 1970s quietly challenged that idea without anyone realizing it. While modern childhood became structured, scheduled, and monitored, you grew up with mental freedom under real-world limits. You were allowed to wander the neighborhood, figure out your own games, negotiate friendships, and even experience small failures without intervention. And when that environment disappeared, something quiet disappeared with it. That freedom to navigate your own time, space, and challenges reshaped your brain in ways modern children rarely experience. Modern psychology has a name for it: self-directed development. You weren't constantly guided. You weren't endlessly entertained. You weren't emotionally managed. Your brain had to do one thing it rarely does today: figure things out on its own. And that simple, unglamorous requirement laid the foundation for problem-solving, independence, and resilience that lasts a lifetime. Picture it: a quiet afternoon, nothing planned, no screens, no games delivered to you. You say, "I'm bored," and nothing happens. No solution is handed to you. No options are listed. You're simply expected to deal with it. So you do. You invent games. You build forts from cardboard or old sheets. You create stories and entire worlds from nothing. You figure out ways to amuse yourself, solve problems, and make meaning. That training didn't disappear when you grew up. It's why you can walk into workplace ambiguity, relationship uncertainty, or unexpected crises today and immediately find a way forward, while others freeze waiting for instructions. You also learned something else early on: risk. You climbed too high. You fell. You misjudged. You scraped your knees. You learned. Instead of being shielded from danger, your nervous system learned to measure it accurately. You didn't grow fearless. You grew precise. You instinctively know the difference between panic and action. That ability quietly sets you apart, even in emergencies. While others flail, your mind has already cataloged danger, assessed it, and decided what to do. When something hurt emotionally, there was no instant outlet, no validation from adults, no algorithm feeding comfort, no immediate reassurance. You just felt it. You sat with it, and eventually, it passed. It wasn't always comfortable, but it was formative. This taught your brain a rare lesson. Emotions move through you, they don't define you. That's why even now, you stay grounded when things get uncomfortable. Not because you feel less, but because you learned how to carry emotion without being controlled by it. Everything required waiting. TV shows came on a schedule. Phone calls could take hours. Letters sometimes took days or never arrived. Answers didn't happen instantly. Waiting wasn't optional. It was normal. And that daily practice quietly trained your impulse control, frustration tolerance, and long-term thinking. It matters more than ever today. Social media outrage, instant dating, career instability. Modern life constantly tests patience. You were trained for it naturally, and that gives you a quiet advantage. So when today's world feels loud, rushed, or emotionally reactive, and when your way of thinking feels out of step, understand this. You're not outdated. You're operating with a mental toolkit shaped by trust, responsibility, and independence. That silence people misread as distance, that's self-regulation. That independence mistaken for coldness, that's competence. Those instincts that don't need constant input, that's depth. You experienced a childhood that trusted kids to be capable, where boredom taught creativity, where mistakes taught judgment. It wasn't safer, it wasn't easier, but it built minds that could stand on their own.